Today is episode number three, and we have today the Texas congressional candidate, Lauren Peña. Lauren, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for the opportunity to be on here. I appreciate it.
No worries, no worries. So, viewers, she is running for Texas Congress, I believe is District 37, correct?
Yes, sir.
District 37, and that's going to be Austin as well as other areas?
So it's actually one of the most compact congressional districts in the country. It's located fully inside of Travis County. So it's going to be Austin, mainly eastern Travis County.
So, Lauren, I just wanted you on the podcast to just get my viewers to know about you. You're running for obviously a very important congressional seat. It's been held by a Democrat for God knows how long at this point, but I just wanted my viewers just to know about you. So I'm just giving you the floor right now. Take it away.
Awesome. Well, my name is Lauren B. Peña. I am the 2026 Republican nominee for United States Congress in District 37. I don't come from a place of privilege. I'm actually a survivor of human trafficking. I was able to get out of human trafficking in 2020 by moving into public housing in East Austin. I began to get my education. I got my bachelor's degree, my paralegal certification. Then I founded a nonprofit, Peña Legal Advocacy. What really drove me to start getting involved in politics is after I got my education and while living in these conditions, I realized that my family and my community's civil rights were being violated at the expense of the middle class funding these programs. And so I immediately, started getting involved, reaching out to all my elected officials. And as you know, being in Austin, they're all Democrats. They like to say that they're fighting for people like me and communities like mine, but they really don't like it if you come from that actual place and try to tell them, hey, this is going on. We need help with this. And so it didn't really support their narrative. So they weren't willing to support me and my community. And that's what drove me to run for Congress. My primary was really messy. I was not the GOP choice candidate, even though I had previously served as a precinct chair. I, worked for a lot of other races as far as like a volunteer. I did a lot of door knocking. I have served not only as precinct chair, but as a delegate to the state convention. I was a delegate for the Texas Federation of Republican Women. I had the opportunity to attend the RNC in Milwaukee. But despite all of that, I guess you could say that the local party didn't view me as someone that fit their traditional candidate, and what's really important to me is protecting taxpayer funds. And we're seeing the rise of socialism here in the United States, and I live in socialism, and I can tell you the conditions are not good. It's not this utopia that young folks think that it's going to be. I mean, like I said, they're violating our civil rights, and if you speak out against it, you're shut down. And so that's what I'm driven by, is protecting the taxpayers, increasing public safety. That's another issue we're having in the district, is we have a woke DA who is prosecuting police over criminals. And they really just don't understand what it's like to be an actual community member in the community. It's definitely driven by greed, the people that are in there now. So I hope to be a voice for the people as one of the people.
Okay. Well, wonderful. Wonderful. So, viewers, if I'm not mistaken, Pena Legal Advocacy, that's your free legal aid nonprofit. Viewers, if you want to have any sort of resource, I could put that down in the description. But for your campaign message, I believe you have faith, family, and freedom, correct?
Yes, sir.
Those Let me ask you, with those tenants, how are you going to be how are you going to be attainable to the constituents once you get into office?
Yeah, so actually, constituent services is one of the things that I'm really passionate about, especially as someone who has tried, for years to get a hold of my elected officials and even, testifying in the Capitol. It's really difficult to do. So, one of the things that I would like to implement in my office is have a strict policy on, whoever is going to be running my constituent services position every day. I want a document that breaks down how many calls did I receive? How many emails did I receive? Did you, talk to this person? Did you respond? And I really want a clear breakdown of anybody who's trying to contact the office. That way I can hold that person accountable and ensure that we're really addressing the constituent needs.
See, constituent services, as well as you can put it also customer service, is the most important thing in an office. You got to be accountable to the people. They got you. They get everybody elected, but they are essentially your boss. So I really do appreciate you being there for your constituents because Lord knows at this point there's a lot of candidates out there that they get in, but then they just forget about the constituents. So I thank you for that. I've seen a lot of your videos that you've gone into city hall meetings. You talked about it a little bit, but just wanted to get your reactions to a couple of stuff that's happened in your community. What's the craziest stuff that you've seen? And can you give my viewers a little taste of that?
Well, in fact, just yesterday, I live in public housing. And so they did a remodel to one of the first public housing authorities in the country, which is where I live. And so I guess, how they do in cities, you'll have the apartments and you'll have leasing offices on the bottom. Well, one of those Mondami grocery stores is popping up in my community. It's the exact leasing space that I actually tried to reach out to years before to get for my legal advocacy center to help the community, but was denied by the housing authority. So they didn't think it was a good idea to have something that was right there that could help them advocate for their rights. But as I'm walking yesterday with my kids and my dog, they have an application for alcohol to sell on this property. And I'm like, first of all, they don't pay taxes.
Ariel, I cannot make this up. So I'm at my property, right? This is public housing in East Austin. Look at this sign. They have an application to sell alcoholic beverages on property of public housing. City of Austin, what are you thinking? Is this responsible? Also, I don't think that this property has to pay taxes. Do you think that the residents of Austin, Texas are happy that there is going to be liquor sold on a property that doesn't pay freaking taxes? What are we doing, guys? And get this, there's a liquor store right there. They want another one down there. Why do we need two liquor stores in a block radius on public housing property that doesn't pay taxes? Can't make this up, bro.
Okay, so this property doesn't pay taxes. Now they want to serve alcohol to a community that's already, going to be struggling with substance abuse and, things that come with the low income culture. And so it's really disappointing that there's such a disconnect with local level government on how these affect the actual constituents. And mind you, this is a taxpayer funded property. So do you want your taxpayer dollars going to a place that serves alcohol?
Honestly, that sounds very crazy to think about. And you touched on it, which is good. The local level of government is I think it's the most important thing. But having so-called socialist, democratic socialists that are just being activists, they're not being accountable, they're not being true government entities, just makes it worse for everyone. And unfortunately, we're seeing the rise of democratic socialism. I hope and pray that we just don't get to that point. But unfortunately, it's in New York City, it's in California, it's pretty much everywhere. Uh, what would be your fight to get rid of that?
Well, first and foremost, it's about educating the population, but mainly educating our young folks. So my district consists of three colleges, one of them being the University of Texas, which is a big major Texas college. And so, someone with a background like mine and a story like mine coming from where I'm coming from currently, I think it's really important to educate the young folks on. And so, like I said, they're being taught this fantasy utopia in our college campuses. And, the work that Charlie Kirk was doing was amazing. And we need to ensure to continue to do that work. And I understand it might be difficult for people to do that. So, one of the ways I was thinking about getting in there is more so talking about my background as a human trafficking survivor and kind of like sliding in to the anti socialism kind of talk So that's one thing that I'm fundraising for right now is to get the venue. And, I think that I can get in by starting with the human trafficking and then really starting to move it over to socialism. Because what a lot of people don't realize is once you're on these programs, people they like to say, oh, well, just get a job, you can get out. But it's not necessarily possible, especially coming from a place where you're in constant survival mode. So it's not this peaceful place where you come home, you get a nice night's rest, and then you can go to work the next morning. No, you're on constant fight, constant survival mode, and it's not a place for people to, gain upward mobility. It's generational poverty. I mean, I have neighbors that are fourth, fifth, sixth generation born into public housing. And what the socialists are kind of relying on is collapsing the middle class and then making everybody in the welfare state, or even growing the welfare state itself. And that's what's going to inevitably put socialism into our government. And so we really have to work on getting people out of poverty to prevent that from happening, or socialism is inevitable in this country.
I like I said, I've seen it so much with Kami Mamdani, as well as Karen Bass, and so on. They just have this sort of utopian disaster that they really want to bring into America. I don't know why, and I am no scholar of like psychology, but I can just say, me and you both, we're gonna fight that tooth and nail. We're gonna fight that. Talking to those individuals last week, I have spoken to an individual that me and him didn't really see eye to eye, both politically. Yeah, he was a libertarian independent. I was a conservative Republican. But having that respectful conversation with folks and having a lively debate with them, that's the tenet that I really love about America. Seeing so many democratic socialists lead with their emotions instead of having a brain just to have common sense. These are all nice and, oh, free stuff, free this, free that, but you don't know the whole story.
Well, and
You lead with your heart.
right. And what's interesting about it is all of these people, like the ones you mentioned and the many others, they actually are talking from a point of privilege. They're actually really well off. They're highly college educated. They come from families with a lot of money. So they actually have no idea what it's like to come from the trenches and be in the gutter and, actually be in poverty. So their privilege makes no sense. And so I know, as Republicans, we don't like those kind of talking points, but like it's privilege, and it's absurd.
It's very absurd. And viewers, like I said in the first episode, do not be a commie mundani. Be a George Washington. Be a Theodore Roosevelt. Be a Donald Trump. And I can attest, it's my own personal background. Yes, I do have a father who has a great many restaurants in Northwest Arkansas. I live that privileged life, but I don't live it to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to be at home sitting here all day. I want to move. I want to get active. I want to get a job and just go to a 9 to 5 or whatever the case may be. I don't like sitting around and just doing nothing. I really don't. I want to work. And I feel like that's a lot of Americans at this point, but they're being blindsided by the Democrat socialists.
And it's interesting you say that because it's absolutely true. And I'm sure you've heard about the redistricting battle that took place in Texas. So I was one of the very few Republicans that went to the Texas Senate and the Texas House of Representatives and was speaking in favor of redistricting. Reason being is I wanted a district that covered the city of Austin that could go into all the different housing projects across the city to get those people to vote for the first time. And it's that same thing you're talking about where people want to work, they want something to do. And in these communities, they're bored, they have nothing to do. And so a major part of my volunteers is actually those folks that are so bored sitting at their house in public housing just looking for something to do. There's people like elderly, disabled, but just the low income community in general is really excited about this race because it's giving them something to do. And so I definitely would encourage candidates across the nation, go to your local housing authority, get those people involved because we're bored and we need something to do.
See, viewers, I've said this time and time again. Just don't sit around and do nothing. You just got to keep moving. You got to keep active. My dad even says it too. You got to keep moving, son. You got to keep moving. Yes, a
So
call to action to all my viewers: get out there and do the work. It's hard work. Trust me, I've done it door knocking and phone banking for so many years, but it's rewarding work seeing your candidate get through the finish line. So I thank you so much for that. So seeing the city of Austin, I that ooh, that is going to be a very tough race. I'm not gonna lie here. But I see that you're a fighter. You are somebody that actually believes in the causes that you stand for. And
Peña, I currently reside in one of the first housing projects ever implemented in the United States right now. All of our civil rights are being severely violated. I have reached out to every single elected official on my state, federal, and local level to try to get assistance for elderly and disabled that are trapped on the second, third, and fourth-story floors. They can't even leave to go get groceries because the elevator's broken and they're in wheelchairs. None of my elected officials have been willing to help me. So yes, I am a Republican running for United States Congress, living in federal housing projects. Now, I had to file a federal lawsuit myself with no assistance because I've reached out to every single elected official and begged for help. My community is falling apart. None of my elected officials have responded to me. None of my elected officials have even offered to help. It's going to show evidence of nonprofit fraud. It's going to show evidence of City of Austin fraud. It's going to show ADA violations and numerous violations to federal law. And my congressman was here earlier, Greg Kassar, one who did not answer an email, one who refused to see me. For weeks, I reached out to his office and begged to speak with his staff so that I could get assistance with all of these civil rights violations. So let's make a district in every major city and then let the city decide who's going to represent them. Instead, this is ridiculous. And I'd be more than happy to hand over all of this evidence to you guys. So let's go on a field trip. Let's go around to the projects here in Austin, Texas. I can probably guarantee your safety. No problem. We can do it in groups, however you want to do it. I'd like to do it with the senators and the House of Representatives. Why don't you guys come see how these policies that you have made, implemented, and severely mismanaged on the Democrat side, because again, these are all Democrat policies that are harming my community, every major city, and put a district inside the inner city, because that is the problem. We do not have representation inside the inner cities. And I can tell you all right now that it is not good. The conditions are not good. Your taxpayer dollars are being weaponized against me, my family, and all of the other people there. There are elderly, there are disabled, there are veterans. I beg you guys, give my community, the poor community, people living in poverty, actual poverty, to have a voice in this nation.
so for the voters and your constituents in that area, what's really been the reaction so far? Because I know the city has made a lot of errors or a lot of issues or whatever, but I feel like the constituents do pick up on these things and they do tell you, hey, this is not what we'd like. Can you fight this? Can you do something? What's your experience on the ground?
Well, the the main thing actually has been using the Democrats' ideology kind of in my favor. And so when I'm talking to Democrat voters and independents, I'm telling them I'm a woman, I'm low income, I'm from the most disadvantaged part of the city. I'm a survivor of human trafficking. I'm using all of those talking points, a first time college grad, that really appeals to their emotions. And so, regardless of party, they're like, oh, wow, you deserve a chance. And so I think that's amazing because, again, it's using their ideology to advantage myself. And they overwhelmingly are like, okay, well, you deserve a chance. But, regardless of party as well, we are tired of the the public safety situation that's going on. I mean, our crime has skyrocketed. We're experiencing a lot of murders right now. And I guess one of the most maybe wide known ones was the attack that we had at a downtown bar. It was a mass shooting recently. But it seems like every day or every other day we're now having murders. And most of the time these suspects, they have been in and out of our jail system and given sweetheart deals by our DA. It's not safe to ride the bus anymore. It's not even safe to go jogging. Our most recent one was, somebody who approached a group of joggers on the rich side of the city. And so people are ready to feel that safety. There's also a concern about the way our taxpayer dollars are being utilized, especially in the homeless programs. I had made a video how my family receives government assistance. And if you take the amount of money that my family of six receives in government assistance, we have housing, we have food, it's only about $50,000 a year. And then that's not to say I'm not working my butt off. I'm really working hard, but if you look at the unhoused population, our taxpayers are paying $80,000 for one person a year to remain homeless on the street. And so that disconnect is again, it's absurd. So why is a household of six 50,000 and housed, but a homeless person is 80,000 and unhoused? And the real reason is because they're not seeking help and they don't take the help when it's offered. Our homeless places are not filled to capacity. It's not like there's a lack of space for them to get the assistance that they want or a lack of resources. It's that they don't want the assistance. They're happy on the street. They're happy with the lifestyle that they're having right now. And so I think it's really important that we start to transition towards mandatory assistance if you want assistance, because the crime is just out of control and it's really tied into the homeless situation.
To be honest, I've never been to Austin, Texas. I've heard from both sides, good or bad. Either way, I feel like it would be. It's a it's a city that is it's rich with history, obviously, but like any other city, it's always going to have some issues. And I feel like you would be the great person to tackle those issues. So I thank you so much for bringing those up. So with your tenants, obviously border security is one of them. Government spending, national debt, abortion, families, parents, veterans, and public safety. We touched on public safety and I think a little bit of veterans. So, wanted to get through with border security. I mean, what is your take on the whole issue?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that we need to continue to fund the border and our border workers. That includes TSA and any other organization or, group that handles any of the security for us. We need to fund them. But also, I'm at that unique place where I come from growing up in gangs and growing up around the actual issues that they're trying to tackle. And so I think that, being able to have that meeting of the minds with my background and their background, I think that it would be really advantageous to our internal security as a nation. Because obviously I don't have the all the knowledge that they have, but there's no way that they have all the knowledge that I have. And so I'd really like to put that together and, like I said, continue to fund for our protection, but also be able to create more pathways to tackle these issues.
See, I love that you brought that up, especially your knowledge and your experiences with all those issues. And just recently, I've just seen a lot of, again, democratic socialists as well as liberals defending, uh, the cartels, defending all these imprehensible, just awful things that are happening in the border. I want border security as much as the next person. I come from a family that's from Mexico. I get that, but we have these laws that have been around for almost 30, 40 years. These laws are they can change. You can talk to your legislators right now and change those laws, obviously. But so many of them are so dug into the fact that Trump is making all these bad decisions. He's a bad president, and all these different but they have to realize the civics of it. Legislators make the laws, president signs those into law, enforces those laws, and the judiciary uh, just interprets the laws. So again, viewers, if you have a problem with that piece of legislation, talk to your legislators. Talk to her. Talk to every single legislative candidate. I bet you 100% that she is going to take those issues as well, hear them out, and just go from there. But again, having that hatred for just one man that's actually enforcing the law that we've made is just it's asinine. It's crazy. It's crazy. Now, with government spending and national debt, that's another issue that I feel like Americans need to know. What do you say is going to be your main thing for
So, if you think back to the actual Constitution and you look at the enumerated powers that are in it, nowhere does it say that the federal government is responsible for housing people, for feeding them, for their Medicaid for all. And, I would really like to see those powers that aren't there sent back to the states. The federal government has no authority really to be paying for the programs like the ones that I'm on. And I think that we really need to shift all of those funds. It needs to be taken over by the states. It needs to be brought back to the local communities, to the local government, to the churches, to the nonprofits. That needs to be a responsibility. That way, they can ensure that the actual quality of life um, for these people that are being funded by the taxpayers is met to a certain standard. Because right now, Congress has authorized, this housing for us, public housing, Section 8, and there's such a big disconnect from them to the bottom, and they're supposed to have the oversight on it, and there is no oversight, there is no accountability. So think back to the enumerated powers of the Constitution and send it back to the states, and I think that will also do a good job on trying to counter the DSA and what they're trying to do as far as expanding these programs if we move it back to the states and get it out of the federal government where it was never designed to be in the first place.
it? I love it. And especially right now, I don't even know what the debt is right now. It could be in 30 trillion.
Trillions.
Yeah, unfortunately. I feel like it can go up and up, but I feel like Trump has a plan. I sure as hell don't know what it is, but we'll see. Wait and see. We have what, 2.5 more years of Trump, and we're not getting off the gas pedal anytime soon. So, um, yeah, I feel like it's a good future for us.
For sure.
So with abortion, that's going to be oh, that's the toughest one so far. What's your take on that?
Well, first and foremost, because of the overturning of Roe v. Wade, that's not something that the federal government oversees. That's going to be brought back to the states. So the local legislators or the state legislatures are going to handle that. But me personally, being a survivor of human trafficking, experiencing the things that I experienced and surviving the things that I went through, I don't even believe in abortion in the situation of rape, and that's just my personal opinion. And but like I said, being a federal candidate, my opinion doesn't hold so much weight, but I don't believe in abortion even in the situation of rape.
And lastly, family, that is a big one for you. I get that. And can you explain to my viewers, because right now, families are struggling, obviously with gas prices and with higher cost of living and other things. What would you do in DC to make your constituents' lives a little bit easier?
Definitely. Like I said, the biggest thing is going to be getting the taxes under control. And I think that removing some of the programs from the federal government, bringing it back to the states is going to help that. But as far as family, there is an attack on the nuclear family right now. And that's something that the DSA is going to be pushing, and the Democrats are already pushing. I would like to see universal rights for homeschooling. I am a homeschool mom, especially living in an inner city. Most of our public schools are failing, but I am starting to see attacks on homeschooling where they're wanting to set up certain regulations. I think that needs to go away, but ultimately I think targeting education needs to be a priority to help with the families because we know aside from our colleges pushing this woke ideology, it's starting young. It's starting in the elementary schools. It's already there. And I think that one of the biggest issues, which again is another program that the Democrats are pushing, is things like early Head Start or early child care assistance and things like that. I would rather see those funds be redirected directly to the families to have moms stay home with their children instead of paying, some place to start taking your kids at a really young age so the mom can go back to work. I would rather see the funds that are being sent to public schools. I mean, here in Texas, it's about $14,000 a year per kid that's going to public schools for taxpayer funds. Why not give that 14,000 to the mom to stay home with the kid? I think because the education system is so broken right now, we need to incentivize families staying home together longer and being able to teach our children the things that we believe in and our values versus what the public school system deems a value that needs to be taught. So education is broke, and I think redirecting those funds would definitely be positive.
Education is very key, and starting off very young, impressionable minds, so to speak. But yes, starting it very young, the woke nonsense that I've seen on social media and other other things as well. It's it's just crazy. It's just crazy. It really is crazy. But I know that you're gonna get the fight going, so that's pretty good. Well, didn't touch on this, but we should touch on this. Veterans, taking care of these veterans. We are having so much issues with that, and I feel there are solutions out there. There's always solutions to every problem. Can you tell me what you would do for your veterans in your area?
So, a lot of things that people might not realize about the services that are offered to veterans, they're actually kind of exactly the same as the services that I'm receiving for my family. So, like instead of Section 8, it's VASH programs, and the healthcare instead of Medicaid, it's I think it's called TRICARE. The programs are exactly the same, and so they're experiencing the same mismanagement, the same being sent to the administrators of it instead of the actual recipients that need the assistance. And so I think, targeting the programs how I'm trying to target them and getting that money to go actually focus to the recipient, focus to the end user instead of, all the administration needs to be important. I have already set up in in my office, I do have a veteran liaison to handle those things, but the housing, for instance, right now is really under attack. And I think, for examples in my city, it's being redirected to homeless and not necessarily veterans that are homeless. And so, again, I think just making sure that those funds are going where they're supposed to be is really important. But, veterans are the ones who have, fought for this country and they need to be taken care of the most. And I also think, you know, it would be encouraging to young folks to join the military if they knew, okay, I'm gonna be taken care of by putting my life on the line for our country. So we need to make sure that those programs are being implemented correctly.
Veterans out there, we love you. We thank you for so much for your service. We salute you. Thank you so much for that. For people that lean moderate or undecided, why should somebody just automatically vote for you?
For sure. And it goes back to what I explained a little bit earlier. I wasn't the party pick. I won because I won the voters, not the party. And, I am a fighter who's fighting a unique fight from the Republican perspective. I don't think that there is many candidates that are Republican that are running on the issues that I am. And in fact, many of the consultants that I have talked to were basically like, you need to stop talking about social issues. And I'm like, you know what? This is my district. This is my race. I'm going to talk on what matters in my district regardless of what the party feels. And so, also in my district, we have been under one party rule for decades, and that's the Democrat Party. And, the affordability is declining, the crime is increasing. The system that we currently have in Travis County right now is not working. And so I'm really giving voters an opportunity to elect someone that doesn't come from the privileged class, isn't connected, isn't funded by special interest groups. I'm really just an individual who has a unique life experience that wants to fight for the American people and only the American people.
Viewers, get this lady into office immediately. We need her in Washington, D.C. I'm just saying. Lauren, I just wanted to do a little rapid fire questions, get your personal side on things. Um, what's a book that changed how you think?
Well, I don't want to be cliche, but that would actually have to be the Bible because, while I was going through the things that I was going through, I I obviously didn't really believe so much that God was real. I didn't have faith. I'd lost faith. I grew up in the church, but I didn't really have that connection. And it wasn't until 2021 that I found Christ and I really started seeing the actual magic that there is. Like it's actual magic to have like Christ in your heart and just the connections that I've made with people, especially as someone in poverty. It's just it's magical, and faith really is driving this, so it's the Bible.
I love it. I love it. Bible is the best book out there. Ain't gonna lie on that. So, favorite way to spend a Saturday with your kids?
Actually, we just like to go and walk around the location that we live in, despite, there being crime and homeless. Once you get a couple blocks over, it's just great to be able to walk around a bustling city with all the people and, there's so many free activities to do and I really enjoy that. Obviously though, if we could just improve the crime and the homelessness, that would be great. But I'm kind of a cheap person. I don't like to spend a lot of money. And so, walking around, going to parks, that's what we do.
What's one thing people always get wrong about you?
Well, I've been accused of being a rhino because of like the things that I'm fighting for. And like in reality, I'm probably uh, one of the more right wing candidates. And especially, here in Texas, we do have a rhino problem. And I'm definitely not a rhino. I'm a homeschool mom. I'm an anti vaxxer. I don't believe in big government. And, I think people think that because I come from poverty that I'm supposed to be a Democrat. And I just think that that's really interesting because in my community, I only know one Democrat and she's like 89 years old. But most of us were all God family guns. And I mean, that's what a conservative is.
I can attest to that because when people look at me and they say, "Oh, I'm a Hispanic, I should vote Democrat." No,
Right.
no, I'm just love to open my mind to different options out there. So I always chose conservative and just go from there. Who's a political figure from either party, past or present, that you admire?
I want to redirect your question because I have a lot of people that I take little parts from, but there is nobody that has been exactly, what I strive to be. And I want to say my least favorite, if that's okay. I have a real bone to pick with LBJ, and his whole great society, and being where I live. I mean, LBJ was from here, so we have like his library, streets named after him, and the Democrats kind of worship LBJ. And I think that he has led to the decline of our economy and he has led to generational poverty. And most of the problems that me and my community are experiencing right now are directly related to LBJ. So, yeah, so that's the politician or public figure that I have the biggest issue with. But like I said, I'm coming from this place not as a long-term politician, but as somebody who was forced to get into this position. So I take the good qualities out of everyone and kind of pick those qualities. And of course, I do really appreciate Donald J. Trump. I'm really excited he's president. I definitely look up to him. But I have a little bone to pick with him right now, and I think he's being too soft on Iran. I would like to see him go harder and end this quickly.
Well, I don't know if you can see back there. Yeah, I'm a big MAGA Trump guy, but I
Yeah,
will say, yeah, I do agree with you on the Iran thing because got to get this over with. We got to say for one
done.
thing, LBJ. I have so many conspiracy theories at this point.
Yes.
Yes,
I don't think they're conspiracies, they're real.
they're real. In my opinion, I think LBJ may have had something to do with JFK. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Just saying. Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and he famously said we'll have them voting Democrat for years. And I want your viewers to know he was actually really, really wrong. What he did was create an entire class of people that don't vote at all. And so that's actually like my targeted demographic is the people in poverty because there's so many of us in this city and they don't vote whatsoever. So LBJ was really wrong on that. And so we can use it against his party.
I thank you for even bringing that up because I can't tell you how many times my family's from Texas. They all some of them love LBJ, some of them have their conspiracies or just thoughts on LBJ, but just yeah, LBJ wasn't the greatest. No, no. JFK was better. JFK was way, way better. So,
For sure.
well, just getting light here. What's the last thing that made you laugh really hard?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I laugh all the time. Honestly, I guess like the serious, like funny thing is the new platform that the DSA has begin to like implement and set at their agenda. Like they want to eliminate the Senate. They want to start having the presidents elected by the House of Representatives. Like these people have really gone cuckoo. And I think it is hilarious. It really is hilarious that people are so blinded and they just want to completely reconstruct our government from within. And I think it's hilarious that they think they have a chance, especially on my watch, because they've never met a fighter like me before, especially like a woman. Like you guys are really, really to the DSA. You guys are in it against me because I'm your worst nightmare. I'm living in every single policy that you're trying to push, and you're trying to take my government over. So I think that's hilarious, and I'm ready to come for them. It's on.
I saw some of y'all get offended when I said the whole hood has my back, but here's the deal. Don't you know there's way more people like me living in neighborhoods like mine that haven't voted before, besides the very few political elitists in this city that do vote? This city is coming back to the people. We're tired of being used as pawns for your woke ideology and saying that you're helping us and we're not. So guess what? Vote Lauren B. Peña for Congress and bring it back to the hood, because it's about us. It's not about
You heard
you.
it here, folks. You heard it here. So DSA, watch out. Watch out. She's coming. She's going straight to DC. Love it. I love it. I can even put so many videos up right now. The DSA members, they just make it too easy. I'm sorry. They just really do. And they just gotta I'm not gonna say they're uneducated or dumb or whatever. They're just misinformed. Misinformed, but they also lead with their heart instead of their mind.
Right. Well,
That's
they're
the thing.
falling for the same, talking points, Fidel Castro and all of that. Like they're falling for the exact playbook, and it's really sad to see.
And unfortunately, anarchism is also coming back. Unfortunately, I don't know why there's a big merger with them and the DSA. I don't
The
understand
Red
that.
Green Alliance that overthrew Iran in the first place.
Yep. So, Lauren, this has really been an incredible time just conversing with you and just getting to know you. Getting to know you. My viewers want to know you, and obviously, your voters are going to be watching this. Your people are going to be watching this. Viewers, I'll put her information down in the description below. Get to know this lady. Get to know this lady. She is going to be a fighter, somebody that's going to be in Washington, D.C., that's going to change the way everything works. Thank you so much for giving me this time, getting to know you. And hell, let's make it another, a couple more months or whatever. If you want to come back on the show, I'll be glad to have you.
Sure, just send me a message. And, same thing goes to any of your viewers. I am pretty responsive on social media. Send me a message, reach out. If you have questions about my candidacy or if you want to get involved in your own district, I'm more than happy to share the knowledge that I've accumulated on that for free. A lot of people want to charge you. I don't want the money. I want the change. I want Americans to run America again instead of the select few elitists. And thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. You guys can go to laurenforcongress.com and visit any of my social medias and reach
So,
out.
again, let's get this to the top. And I put this out there from the last episode, but I put it out. If I get 200 subscribers by August 1st, I will skydive. Scouts honor. Scouts honor. Just I need more subscribers. It's been a dream, kind of. I'm a little scared of skydiving. I'm shitting bricks right now. I'm just saying. Um, but no, if we can get this up to 200, uh, it would be skydiving, and I will vlog the whole experience. You have it right here.
Very good.
So, Lauren, thank you so much.
Thank you.